Order, honourable members.
Speaker of the National Assembly, Ms. Toko Ditiza, Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, Ms. Refilwe Mtsweni-Tsipane, Deputy President, Paul Mashatile, and Premiers of our various provinces here present, Ministers and Deputy Ministers, representatives of SALGA, honourable members. Speaker and Chairperson, I wish to thank the honourable members for their contributions to the debate on the state of the nation. I welcome in particular those contributions that sought to enrich our common understanding of the work that we need to do to drive more rapid and inclusive growth, to create employment and to bring an end to poverty. I recognize those speakers and thank them for their valuable contributions. I would that when we debate the state of the nation, we should, yes, be critical, as we should as members of this august body that represents our people, but also bring forward good suggestions and proposals that will be able to take our mission forward. Some speakers held firm to the denialism and distortions demanded by their party positions. This debate illustrated the dangers of retreating to corners, isolating ourselves in ideological, cultural, racial, and linguistic enclaves, and hardly ever engaging beyond our immediate circles. This is not conducive to nation building in a situation like ours at this point in time, where diverse people live side by side in our beautiful country. This is what makes the forthcoming national dialogue so important. South Africans, informed by their different lived experiences, can discuss the many challenges facing our nation and develop common solutions. And this is what I would have wanted to see coming out of this debate. As South Africans, we have sat around the negotiating table and forged agreements under much more trying and fraught circumstances. The journey we are embarking upon now through the national dialogue will result in concrete processes to become a more united and stronger South Africa in the face of many political, social, and economic challenges that we face both globally and locally. The debate also saw the expression of divergent views on various matters, also by parties that make up the Government of National Unities, and sometimes these views were expressed quite robustly, and at times quite directly and harshly. It is expected that the 10 political parties that make up the Government of National Unity, with their very different perspectives and ideological views, will not always agree and will sometimes feel the need on platforms such as this to talk to their different constituencies. Now, despite these differences, these political parties are working well together in the Government of National Unity, whether people like it or not. We are finding ways of mediating our differences, and we remain focused on the actions that we are all committed to undertake. It is this that gives me confidence that the Government of National Unity that I lead will continue to promote stability and serve the interests of South Africa in accordance with the Statement of Intent that we all signed up to, and the medium-term development plan. It is encouraging that a great many of the contributions in the debate also appreciated the progress that we have made as a country over the last 30 years. And those who may well have been tempted to say vacuous things such as no progress has been made, nothing has been done, they knew down deep in their hearts that they're talking to the wind. This progress is owned by the people of South Africa, and let me be clear, it is not owned by any individual. Even the great Nelson Mandela, the father of our democracy and nation, never for 1 minute claimed that he had freed the people of South Africa. And even as people might have tried to lionize him, he always said, we did it together as the people of South Africa. And that is what we should do. This South Africa has been built by its own people who have sought to change their own lives. They have entrusted the stewardship of this process to all of us, not just to some of us or to one of us. Many of the speakers in the debate acknowledged the real challenges we face today and recognized the work that is underway to address these challenges. They said that the nation that we want to build must be fundamentally different from the country that we once were. Even those who may well have been opposed to the foundational document of our Constitution, the Freedom Charter, now pleasingly today embrace it, and they talk about it as well and quote it. That shows the growing political maturity in our country, that we are embracing the change that our forebears dreamt of 70 years ago. We are the first to acknowledge that we have not yet achieved a number of the aspirations set out in the Freedom Charter, but it is dishonest to say that no significant progress has been made. A number of the speakers during this debate spoke about the land question, which I have in the past characterized as the original sin that was committed against the people of our country. Describing the Natives Land Act of 1913, Solomon Plaatje described the Natives Land Act as an insidious law that rendered black people pariahs in their own birth, in the land of their own birth. It is this Native Land Act that plunged millions of South Africans into poverty and deprivation, whose impact endures right to this day. Despite the terrible deed that was perpetrated against black South Africans here in the city of Cape Town, along the foothills of Table Mountain, there lies a potent symbol of hope, change, and progress. Just a few kilometers up the hill from our parliament is District 6. It is here that one of the most painful chapters in the history of this country took place nearly 60 years ago. In 1968, the apartheid regime began demolishing District 6 to make way for a whites-only suburb. More than 60,000 people were forcibly removed. Families were torn apart. An entire community and way of life was destroyed. Over the course of 2 decades, the apartheid government forcibly removed more than 3.5 million people in District 6, Sophiatown, Marabastad, Kaitopena, Kroonstad, Nelspruit, and many other places across the country. It was one of the largest mass removals of a people in modern history. There are some in this house today who have memories of their families being forcibly removed from their land. There are millions more across the country who still experience the after effects of this monstrous crime. The people of this country know the pain of forced removal. That is why we will never allow forced removals again in this country. And that is why we have a constitution that prohibits the arbitrary deprivation of property. That is why we have a constitution that requires just and equitable compensation to be paid in the event of expropriation for a public purpose in the public interest where applicable. Our experience of forced removals also explains the constitutional requirement that the state must take reasonable measures within its available resources to foster conditions in which it will enable citizens to gain access to land and to do so on an equitable basis. Today, District 6 rings with the sounds of families who have been returned and who are returning to the land that was taken from them. Yet, like the transformation of our society, the process of restitution is not complete. It is an ongoing process. There is still much that needs to be done to heal the divisions of the past. I reflect on this, honorable members, because it is part of our history. Not only because issues of land and redress have featured prominently in this debate, but also because understanding this past that many would like to forget is vital to understanding the nation that we are working to build today. At this important moment in our country and in our world, we must ask ourselves what kind of nation we want to be. Surely we do not want a nation which is separated by race, language, income, and geography. We want a nation in which all people enjoy equal worth and equal opportunity. We want a nation in which the rule of law is protected and upheld. We want a dynamic and growing economy in which small businesses can emerge, grow, and expand. It is my firm and enduring belief that all of us as South Africans, as fellow citizens of this beautiful country, are bound together by our history and our present, and we want the same thing for all the people of this country.